We have been tracking a historic tectonic shift across West Africa. We have been celebrating the absolute fearless stand of the Alliance of Sahel States. We watched Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger shatter their golden handcuffs, kick out foreign occupations and reclaim absolute command of their own ancestral lands. And in the middle of this glorious continental awakening, we turned our eyes towards Chad. We knew the leadership in N'Djamena hadn't formally joined the AES. We knew his political stance was a bit shaky, moving back and forth like a reed in the wind. But we had a spark of genuine hope. We thought just maybe he would look across his borders, see the majestic courage of Captain Ibrahim Traore and Assimi Goïta, and realize that the only path to true immorality is to serve his own domestic population with unbending dignity. But yesterday, a devastating diplomatic bomb dropped onto the international wire. The officials' confirmations have rolled in, verified by intelligence reports and broadcasted directly from the mouth of the French president itself. The president of Chad has officially requested French occupation forces to march right back onto the Chadian soil. Welcome back to Power and Pole. To our dedicated, unwavering community of truth seekers who refuse to let corporate media filters massage your intelligence, thank you very much for standing firm on this digital front line. If you are stepping into this sanctuary of raw truth for the very first time, prepare yourself. I am just as heartbroken, just as furious, and just as deeply disappointed as you are right now. Just 2 short years ago, this very same Chadian administration made international headlines by packing up French military units and sending them out of the country. We cheered, we rejoiced in the streets. We thought, wow, look at that. Even outside the AES, a new champion of self-determination has emerged. But instead of moving forward on that secret path of total emancipation, he has done a complete U-turn. He has literally returned directly to his own ideological vomit. Stay with me until the final second of this documentary, because we are going to look at the secret financial trap that forced this sudden collapse of resolve, examine the brilliant chess move by the AES making to avoid this exact blackmail, and expose why the habit of hiding stolen wealth in European banks is the ultimate soft spot used by all masters to keep African leaders on a permanent leash. Now, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's dissect this national strategy together. Let's exercise some deep, uncompromised structural analysis here. Why I am absolutely furious at his decision, we must look at the mechanics of the global matrix to understand exactly how this happened. Emmanuel Macron recently sat down for a major media interview, smiling from ear to ear, gloating to the world that the Chadian president essentially came to Paris on bended knee, begging for French soldiers to return and stabilize his administration. My. It is a deeply humiliating picture for anyone who believes in continental pride. But we have to ask ourselves, what happens behind the closed doors of the Elysee Palace when an independent leader tries to sever ties with the old empire? The playbook is over a century old, beautifully engineered, and thoroughly ruthless. The moment you declare that your nation is an autonomous entity, the moment you tell their military advisor to pack up their bags, an invisible, highly coordinated warfare apparatus instantly activates against you. Suddenly, out of absolute nowhere, heavily armed insurgents magically materialize on your northern border, perfectly equipped with sophisticated weapons that standard rebel groups shouldn't have access to. Simultaneously, international monetary institutions miraculously discover structural anomalies in your economy, cutting off your access to credit lines. The global banking cartels place immediate red lines around your national transaction. It is an artificial manufactured plague designed to apply a crushing amount of psychological and economic pressure on a leader until his knees begin to buckle. And if you do not possess the unyielding revolutionary backbone like that of Thomas Sankara, if you do not have a deep, unbreakable covenant with the working masses of your own population, you will fall for the blackmail every single time. This brings us to the absolute core of the sickness that has plagued African government for generations, and I want to speak with absolute raw candor here. Why are so many of our leaders so deeply vulnerable to Western intimidation? Why can they be completely neutralized by a single phone call from a desk in Paris or Washington? It is a fatal cause of offshore bank accounts. Let's call it exactly what it is. The ultimate tragedy of a leader who steals from his own people. When an official loots the domestic treasury of their nation, they face an immediate systemic dilemma. They cannot invest that illicit capital back into their own country. They cannot use it to build local factories, fund local agricultural cooperatives, or develop domestic infrastructure, because the local population would instantly ask, where on earth did you get millions of dollars from? So, what do? They run like cowards to the West. They buy massive luxury penthouses in Paris, open secret offshore accounts in Switzerland, and invest their stolen millions right back into the economic ecosystem of the very people who exploited their ancestors. They think they are being incredibly clever. They think they have secured a golden parachute for their retirement. But they don't realize they have just handed the old master a remote control to their entire existence. The Western intelligence agencies track every single dollar, every piece of real estate, and every foreign asset owned by these leaders. The second that leader tries to flex their muscles and talk about national self-reliance, the master doesn't need to send an army. He just walks over to a computer, presses a single sub button, and completely freezes those assets. In a fraction of a second, the wealthy president is turned into an absolute financial nobody. Their mansions are seized, their bank cards are deactivated, and their lifestyle is utterly erased. It is a flawless system of financial captivity. You either do exactly what the empire commands, or they take back the very crumbs you stole from your own citizens. This exact financial vulnerability is why the emergence of the Alliance of Sahel States is causing such an immense historic panic within the old world order. Leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traore have completely flipped the script on this generational curse. They don't have luxury estates in France. They aren't hiding national gold reserves in European vaults. Their capital is deeply embedded right where it belongs. In the soil, the factories, and the hearts of their own people. When you do not store your personal future in the house of your oppressor, you gain an absolute terrifying form of geopolitical freedom. You can look a global superpower in the eye and say, go ahead. Freeze whatever you want, because everything I value is standing right behind me in the streets of my capital. The tragedy of Chad is that the leadership chose the path of short-term elite survival over long-term national glory. He looked at the footsteps of leaders like William Ruto and decided that it was safer to be a protected manager of a neo-colonial outpost than to be an architect of absolute colonial freedom. He forgot that foreign bayonets can protect a palace, but they can never secure the genuine love and respect of a nation. But let the record be entirely clear. The youth of Chad are not the same people the empire dealt with during the dark days of the Cold War. The Chadian population is highly conscious, deeply analytical, and fully integrated into the Pan-African African digital awakening. They are looking across their borders into Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, and they see the magnificent reality of what an uncompromised nation looks like. They are realizing that the presence of foreign military bases is not a sign of protection, but a permanent mark of institutional subjection. The old master can play these administrative games behind closed doors. They can celebrate their temporary diplomatic victories in Paris, but they cannot stop the internal psychological shift happening within the population. The desire for absolute local command over our own resources, our own defense, and our own political destiny is an unquenchable fire that cannot be put out by a new military treaty. The era of accepting these sudden backsliding maneuvers is completely over. We document every betrayal, we will expose every soft spot, and we will continuously amplify the voices of the citizens who are demanding absolute unfiltered independence across every square inch of our continent. If you are ready to stand as an intellectual fortress for the total uncompromised liberation of Africa, if you are deeply done with the leaders who abandon their national pride to protect their hidden offshore accounts, and if you believe that the soil of the Sahel belongs exclusively to its people, smash that like button right now. Let's push this exposure straight to the absolute peak of the algorithms so everyone knows we see through these imperial traps. Share this video across every single digital group platform and networks. Subscribe to Power and Pulse. We are your permanent digital shield, exposing systemic betrayal and broadcasting the authentic, unyielding pulse of continental self-reliance. I am your host, Marie, and this is Power and Pulse. And I will see you all in the next one.